Hi everyone, before the start of this video, I just wanted to say that the LEC Super Fantasy is back, where you can build your own lineups and play against me and other people who play the game as well. I've made a lobby for everybody who wants to play against me and my followers directly, so you can show off your prediction skills and create your own lineups. It's pretty fun. It's free to play if you want it to be. I play for free. You can pay as well if you want to. That's all up to you. But if you want to join my lobby. You stay on my mind in the link below. Hi everyone, this is Tom with the LEC preview for the LEC Summer Split Week 1. Yes, the LEC is back, and so are my predictions, so more predictions, less hair as you can see now. But I hope that everybody had a good off-season, maybe if you watch MSI, that you're ready, just like I am, for more LEC action. Before I get to the specific matches, I am going to talk a bit about what I think about the off-season. Just a quick overview of where I think each team will rank. If you follow me on Twitter, you will have already seen this graph that I now will post here for you guys. You can see where I think the range is of each team competing in the LEC Summer Split. So let's go over each team very quickly. I think XL is going to finish at the very bottom of the LEC Summer Split. Either that or 9th. I don't think that the changes they've made to their roster are going to be very good. While there is maybe something you can say for a veteran like Nuke helping a player like Dan, or Danik, who is in the bot lane now, who on Misfits perhaps didn't get the best chance. Support role, obviously not bot lane, but maybe there's something that can work in terms of XL. I personally don't really see it, so I don't expect them to do super well in the Summer Split. So I think they're gonna finish either 9th or 10th. Then there's SK Gaming, as you can see. I think they might have the opportunity to step up a bit higher, and that's mainly because you have Janox in the top lane, and who was just an incredible factor for them in the spring split, especially in the second half. He stepped up and carried a lot for that team. Then we have Astralis. I think them keeping the same roster is gonna benefit them, even though obviously that this roster is not gonna be a world's contender in the long run. I think that keeping that synergy is gonna pay off for them. They did seem to have some tricks up their sleeve. We saw that Caitlyn Trash game, I remember very distinctly. Obviously Zanzara with the Skarner. Doesn't matter if that's all very relevant now. I do think that this as a team can maybe perform a bit better this split than they did last split. Then Misfits, who changed only their coaching staff, I think for them goes the same as for Astralis, where I think that keeping the roster for them is going to be a benefit, because you had heading into the split, obviously, at Viteo, a rookie, here at a new player in the team as well as the Kobe vendor dynamic in the bot lane, and with Rezok as a stable jungler. I think this team just has had more time to grow their synergy now, and now that they are gonna compete for another split, perhaps they find their groove a bit more than they did in the spring split, where they really struggled to figure out how they wanted to play the game. Then Schalke of Fear. I think Abadaga is a big loss for the team, which was pretty evidently done for financial reasons, with 100 Thieves reportedly paying $1 million for Abadaga. That's insane money, especially for a player who had only one split left in his contract, I believe. So that's pretty crazy. But if you're Schalke, who is in financial trouble, as many of you will have noticed, then I guess at some point they just have to make that decision. But I do think that is going to hurt the team. Gilius is out there as well, swapped with Kirai, who has been purchased, I believe, from Gamers Origin. And yeah, it's difficult for me to say. Gilius obviously had a very difficult spring split, did not play very well. It's very difficult for me to estimate how well Kirai is going to fit into the team. But overall, I see Schalke making playoffs is a possibility for them. I also do see them missing out, as you can see in that graph I have posted. But I overall do think that it's a downgrade for them. And then we go to Vitality, who have rebuild their roster. If you look at last year's Summer Split, there's only one player left standing, which is Labrov as the support player. Crownshot obviously came in the bot lane halfway through the split in spring, which was an improvement. He did pick up the team somewhat, and I do think that keeping that synergy in the bot lane is very good. I do not necessarily think that Shigenda should have been changed to the top lane. Again, I'm very much opposed to kicking rookies after one split. I think they should at least get 1 year of development since they learn a lot in the spring split. So, but I also don't have anything against SLT per se, so we'll see what happens there. I do think that Vitality's jungle and mid are big upgrades for them. Selfmade is evidently a much better jungler than Skeens was, and leader in the mid lane. It's gonna sound harsh, but I think it's gonna be very difficult for him to perform worse than Militia did, because Militia was pretty invisible. Nothing against the guy personally, of course, but if you just look at the performance, then this is definitely much better for Vitality, I think. Then we go to Fnatic, who, man, this is this is pretty crazy, because it's the move everybody was talking about, right? Kicking Selfmade, moving Whipper to the jungle, and then getting Adam as the new top laner. Yeah, it's something that surprised me, much like it surprised basically anybody, because Whipple was the top laner, right? And Selfmade was such a good jungler. But if there's friction in the team, which it seems to be the case, and something needs to change in order to rebuild that synergy, let's see. I do think that they have about the same range of possibilities as Vitality, as you can see. I do think that they are not going to be a contender for the top 3, but it's Fnatic. If you look at the player roster, Upset and Helsing is still a strong bot lane. Niski in the mid lane is fine. Bwipo apparently is doing pretty well in the jungle. Obviously, we need to see how that translates to the performances on stage, when he's actually competing with his team, when the dynamic of the match is a bit different. And then you have Adam in the top lane, a rookie, but a very talented one at that. So I do think that, especially with the experience of Bwipo, as a top laner, they can work well together. I do think overall that the synergy of Fnatic is going to improve. I do think this is going to make the team a bit more stable, because you have less of that push and pull within the team, undeciding of what they want to do. But I also do think that this swap with Fnatic is going to lower their skill ceiling a bit. So I don't think that they are a contender for a world spot, but I do definitely think that they should make the playoffs. And then we get to the top 3, which is unchanged. I think G2, Rogue, and Mad Lions are the big winners of this offseason, because I do think that overall the LEC has downgraded quite a bit. I think XL got weaker. I think SK got weaker. Astralis didn't change much, which may be an advantage for them, but they're still not very relevant in the competition, I think. Misfits might do something here and there, but I also do not see them compete with the throne. I think Schalke got weaker overall. Vitality is a big question mark. Obviously, they did get better, I think, compared to the spring split, but it's not very hard when you finish 10th. And then Fnatic, I do think, got weaker overall as well. Perhaps more stable as a team, but more weaker in where they are going to be consistent. So yeah, for G2, Rogue, and Mad Lions, who stayed the same, I think they are going to be the big winners of the split. As you can see, I can see any of these 3 teams in any order in the top 3. So with that in mind, let's look at the matches that are going to be played. And obviously, some of these teams that I think might end very highly, I think might need some time to build up, and others might have a good start and maybe drop off later. We'll have to see how that develops, but generally speaking, my idea is the more new players you have, the more time you're going to need to build up, unless some of these players have already played together on a team previously to rekindle that synergy that they had. But let's just go over to the games and what they are gonna be like, in my opinion. We have Mad Lions versus G2, which is starting to become the classic kickoff to any split now, which I very much like. These are Mad Lions, obviously the reigning LEC champions now, versus G2, Old Kings, blah, blah, blah. But I do think that G2 is going to win this game, simply because Mad Lions took a long break after MSI. You could see that at MSI, many of their players said, we're very tired, we're close to burning out. So Mad Lions decided to give their players an extended break and only return to scrims this very week, which is not a big problem in my opinion. I give them I fully agree with that decision, because in the end, you're in it for the long run. You're in it to make sure that your players can perform the best that they can at an international event. And let's be real, even if Mad Lions goes, I don't know, 0-4 at the start of this split, I will still think they are going to make Worlds, because this is a team that has shown that greatness. As long as they make playoffs, I think they will get there. They're much better in the best of 5 than they were in the best of 1s in spring as well. So I think Mad Lions is a team that definitely needs that time to build up. And just take it easy, give the players some joy in playing the game again, instead of getting burned out and focusing heavily first. But I do think that a team like G2, who has had quite some time, like months literally, not playing competitive matches, is hungry, is eager. And while they might have some fun against Mad Lions because it is Mad Lions, and play around a bit there, I do think that they will take that game. And then we go to SK Gaming versus Astralis, which is, according to my predictions, a bit of a bottom tier match. And if you look at the spring split results, obviously maybe a bit more towards the middle of the pack, with SK making the playoffs, obviously. But I do think that Astralis is going to win this, as I said. Even if SK reaches that synergy at some point, I don't think they're going to perform very well, whereas Astralis already has a lot to work with within their team. So I do think that Astralis should win this one, and actually pretty comfortably so. Then we have Rogue versus XL. If you look at the standing predictions I did, again, Rogue is a team that was almost at MSI. XL is a team that has not made playoffs, and in my opinion only downgraded what they did with their roster. So Rogue should win this one easily too. Then we go to Vitality versus Schalke 04. Very interesting one. Both of these teams obviously reworking a core that they worked with in the spring split. So honestly, to me, this is a big coin flip, because Vitality, in my opinion, has overall a higher caliber if you look at the players and the potential. Schalke has fewer players changed on their roster. So that's kind of what weighs heavier for me. That's a very difficult one, but I do think that eventually, when you have the passion of these new players that are coming into a new team, maybe for Vitality this explodes like a bit at the start. We saw that the same at Misfits, who had a very strong start to the spring split with quite a new roster as well, where they performed very well when the meta wasn't really figured out yet, when teams were trying to figure out what they wanted to do. So I'm going to say that Vitality wins that game. And then we end the first day with Misfits versus Fnatic. And I do think that Fnatic actually will win this one. They are a team that, in my opinion, generally starts off... I don't know. I think just in general that they have this advantage here, where they kept this entire bot side and they can play through against Misfits, whose bot side has not been fantastic. Yeah, and overall, as I mentioned earlier, I think that Fnatic's overall strength is strong enough. Misfits last split did have some trouble figuring out eventually what the meta was, and I've heard that this is something teams are having problems with again a bit as well in some scrims. But let's see. I do think Fnatic is going to win this. Then we have on the second day of the 3 days, XL versus Astralis is the first game. I also expect Astralis to win this game versus XL. It is a bit of an interesting match, obviously. Nuke Duck versus the team that he left at the start of the spring because of some personal issues. That's going to be interesting to see him play against Maggi Felix, but I don't know. Until I see him perform very well, I am still very skeptical, and I don't think that he would disagree with this. He's obviously just very eager to prove anybody who doubts him wrong. I'm here to see if that actually is going to happen, but for now, I think Astralis is going to win that game. Then we have SK versus Misfits. Just going to go by the power rankings here that I made and say that Misfits is going to win that game, even though, when you look at it at face value, Genox is a very strong top laner. Again, I think that in other aspects, this team is going to have to, SK is going to have to find themselves a bit. especially because something I forgot to mention on the first day, they are missing Blue for the first week because he had been hospitalized. I'm not sure if he's still in the hospital with some health issues. So yeah, they're gonna be playing with a substitute mid laner, so that's gonna make the team weak in the big opening week still. So yeah, Misfits is probably gonna take that one. Then we have as the third game on Saturday Vitality versus Rogue, and this is a game I think is a good test for Vitality to see, okay, where is that initial range of this team. And I don't want to say ceiling because ceiling is obviously something you ultimately reach when everybody's playing at top level. But for now, I think that Rogue is still going to be the team that takes this game, but I do think that Vitality has the potential to throw some curveballs, especially when you apparently have a team that wants to play very aggressively versus Rogue, who can play more aggressively, but overall likes to take a step back. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Shokunov here takes on G2 in the fourth match on Saturday, where we probably see G2 win. Again, Schalke and No Fear has taken wins from G2 unexpectedly before, which is to a surprise to many people. It's kind of a mystery what happens there. But if I just go rationally speaking, G2 should win this game. And then we end on Saturday with Mad Lions versus Fnatic. That match is probably, I do think it's actually going to be the match of the week if the LEC sticks with having the final match on Saturday being their match of the week overall. But that game is also going to be super interesting, obviously, to see a team that hasn't changed but is probably taking it a bit easier versus a team that made a big change within its roster. Like swapping a player is not something you do just on a whim, and it's not something that has no impact at all. Obviously, it's a difficult one because I can see Mad Lions losing this. Definitely can see Mad Lions lose this against Fnatic, but on the other hand, I do know that for many teams it's a bit of a pride issue to lose against a team like Fnatic. You definitely want to prove yourself against a team with so much prestige and so much history behind it, and so many titles. So it's gonna be a very close one, I think. But if I have to make a prediction, I actually do think that Fnatic will take that game. And then on Sunday, because it's a super weekend, we kick off with Schalke here versus XL. Don't think this is going to be a super high level match in terms of play, but if I just look at how I think the teams are going to perform, overall I do think Schalke has the edge here. Vitality versus Misfits follows that game, and that's another interesting one, because whereas Vitality versus Rogue is a test for Vitality, in my opinion, okay, how high can you go? It's also very interesting. This is going to be a test, okay, but who are your direct competitors for making it to the playoffs, for example, where I can see Misfits definitely throwing curveball to Vitality. I do think that Vitality is going to win this one. It goes against what I said earlier, that I do think that some teams need to ramp up a bit, but maybe I'm a bit too sold on the whole Vitality, like they have self-made and they have leader hype. Possibility, definitely. Although I don't think, like some people do, that they're going to make worlds. I definitely do think that this is a team with a lot of potential. It's just a mystery if it's going to work out right. But I do think that in an opening weekend like this, with players like this, with a Crownie, with with a leader, with a self-made, this is a team that's going to throw the first punches in the first week to make a statement and say, hey, we're here. So I do think that Vitality will win that one. Thirdly is Mad Lions versus Astralis. Yeah, as much benefit as I can give Astralis, given how they've stuck with the same roster, I still do think that Mad Lions should win this one at the very least, purely based on individual skill, and they're gonna want to walk away with a W under their belt as well, right? Then SK Gaming versus G2. Not gonna spend too much time on this one because I do think that G2 is gonna easily win this. And then finally, the final game of the day is Rogue versus Fnatic. Final game of the weekend as well. Another banger with Fnatic included, who play both Mad Lions and Rogue. So big test for this team right away. And that's not something I dislike. I think that's pretty cool to see. Like, this is how the team is gonna make their initial adjustments in how they want to approach the game, perhaps. So I do think that that's pretty good for them, actually, to be thrown into the deep right at the start to see how well they stack up against the top teams in the league. Overall, I do think that Rogue is going to win that game. Rogue has just been overall a team that has been improving every single split, and I don't see why they wouldn't be improving here either. So yeah, I do think that Rogue ends the week on a W. Those were my predictions for the opening weekend of the LEC Summer Split. Let me know in the comments below which games stand out to you, which ones you're looking forward to. If you disagree with any of my predictions or have any thoughts on maybe the kind of ranking range system I post, let me know in the comments below as well. I'm very interested to hear what your perspectives are. Again, as I said in the intro, if you want to play LEC predictions against me directly, you can do so by playing the LEC Super Fantasy, which is the official fantasy game from the LEC, which is free to play. It's fun. You get some cards, you play players and combine them with items to get as many points as possible. I think it's pretty fun. If you make the top 10 in my lobby, I will give you a short shout out in my LEC recap video of that week. And yeah, so if you want to join that, join the link below. My lobby is called EU Stay On My Mind, named obviously after that amazing song that we had at the LEC Summer Split last year as Song of the Week, which was also parodied. But anyway, enough about that. I'm rambling a bit again. I'm just very excited to be back. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me a lot. I'll also be doing interviews, of course, again, with players and coaches and other people from the LEC and post them on this channel as well. So if you're interested in that content, please remember to give me like a little subscription or something like this. You can also follow me on Twitter, and anything is posted in the social below. That's it. I'm starting to ramble again. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on Monday with the LEC recap.